Hi everyone, and welcome back to Anxiety a Go-Go. I thought today I would pick another card. It's been roughly a week, so I thought I'd take the opportunity because we have plenty of opportunity at the moment while we're all sort of stuck at home. Today's one is going to be about memories and old things that bother us and things that keep cropping up, and sometimes they even ruin our day. They're things that flash back in our minds, or something that's happened that gives us a lot of anxiety. So I wanted to talk about this card today. It's about the old memories that don't belong to now. So that's one. It says on the back of it too, don't fear the present like it's the same as the past. Old habits never die unless you let them. So just to elaborate on that one, sometimes we, for example, if we get in a new relationship, we might sort of think to ourselves, gee, I really don't want that to happen again. I didn't like that about the previous relationship, and I'm so worried that that will happen again in this relationship. It's really important for all of us to remember that it is different. It is going to be different, completely different in so many ways. There may be some similarities that crop up. There may be things that you think, oh, that triggers that old memory for me, and it feels the same, and maybe it's going to turn out to have the same result or turn out the same way as the last relationship did. And sometimes we can manifest these things to happen as well. So we have to try to understand that it's not going to happen the same way again, and it is up to us to prevent that from happening as well. So taking a whole new approach to the way we feel or think about the new relationship that we're in doesn't necessarily mean you have to change. It just means being aware of things that upset you and that you don't want them to reoccur again. So think of it as a healthy boundary as well. So we tend to overreact, or we have a knee-jerk reaction to something that's triggered us from a previous relationship or a struggle that we've had before, and we tend to sort of respond in maybe a non-effective manner. So if we can try to stop at that point and remember that this is a different situation, a different person, a whole new different time in your life, and a whole new experience. And that will help you to ground yourself again, to bring you back to where you are in the relationship that is currently a new one and nothing to do with the other one. So when we get those sort of urges to sort of respond or react, and we often sort of push the person away, or that's it, I'm not doing this again, I've done this before and I don't like it, I don't want it to happen again. They're the kind of normal responses that a lot of us fall victim to, because we often cruel a situation rather than help it by responding this way. It's an ineffective approach, and if we can try and remind ourselves that that trigger that we had is an old memory, it doesn't belong to now, and that this is different. And it will help you just to reframe the situation that you're in. If it feels uncannily the same, you still are able to remind yourself that it is different, because the person that you're with is highly likely going to not be the same person that you were with before. If you've decided to go back to a previous partner and these situations are reoccurring, then obviously that's a different story as well. But we're talking about new relationships, new friendships, new colleagues, new jobs, all those sort of things that we find interpersonal skills and relationships that we might have reoccurring memories or things that have happened to us in the past that crop up and cause us to feel either uncomfortable in the situation or fearful that we don't want to go through this again. So reminding yourself that this outcome is going to be different compared to the other one. This will not be the same result. It is up to me to change that. It is up to me foresee that the things that I do in this relationship and the things that we do together contribute to the results of the relationship. Whatever has happened in the past can only affect you if you allow it to. By rehashing that constant fear of it in effect, you're living that again. You're reliving it every time you allow that to take over your sort of decision making or effectiveness in your relationship. So it's important, I think, that we think about these things, because every relationship brings its own troubles and hurdles to get over. But sometimes we find ourselves, we're the common denominator in each relationship, and we tend to automatically default back to blaming ourselves for reoccurring situations or issues that might be arising in an argument, or it can even be in your intimacy with your partner. You might have some kind of an issue that is reoccurring each time, an insecurity or something that the other person does that it just makes you feel uncomfortable. It's really important to speak up and talk about what it is that you're feeling. If this situation keeps occurring in different relationships, have a little think about why or where that might be coming from. Address that sort of issue, or describe that feeling that you're getting, and try and identify where it's coming from, so that you then can address that, and hopefully you can sort of settle with that yourself so it doesn't keep happening. Don't beat yourself up about it though. If this does keep happening, it may be a little something that you need to address yourself, something that you need to take in awareness and say, look, hey, this keeps happening to me. It feels like it keeps happening to me. Okay, it might be different every time, slightly different person, different place, different me, but it keeps happening, and I need to work out a way that I can prevent this from happening every time I get into a relationship, because it's affecting me, and it possibly will affect my partner as well. So have a think about what it is that you are struggling with, how it's making you feel, and identify where it's from, and then try to address it. This will help you in the future learn to be more aware of what your needs are as well. It'll also help you be not as afraid of it, because you're learning to deal with it. It's a familiar thing, so the more familiar it is, the less fearful you will be of it as well, especially if you can learn how to manage it. If, for example, it's something like to do with sexuality or intimacy, then yes, you definitely need to be able to discuss that with your partner. Don't allow yourself to suffer in silence, because no one can know what's happening unless you make them aware of what's happening. So don't assume that person should just know that you don't like that, or this is what you want. And it goes with all sorts of things in our relationships as well. It can even be decision making with renovations. It can be something like getting married. It can be children, deciding whether to have children. All of these things can trigger major anxieties or memories that we've had in a previous relationship, and it can be quite upsetting each time it happens. And we don't always know how to deal with these things, but they will always crop up if you don't address them. It's important to understand that pushing something away only hides it for a little while, and then it will rear its ugly head again one day. So if you struggle, try and address it. When I talk about the card and it says, like old habits never die, that is true to an extent, because we are a very habitual race, being human, and we like to stay in habits or routines or keep a schedule or something like that, just so that we feel we're in control. which is okay, and that's good if it doesn't overtake everything else. But in this card it says old habits never die unless you let them, and that's exactly right. A habit is something we've often created ourselves, so we are the master of its release as well, and how we stop it from reoccurring. So I'd like it, if you have to think about, you can even think about something that might have happened just recently. I often ask at the end of my videos to have a think about it, because it's really good if you can practice these management skills in your own life, because the more you practice these things, the more prepared you are for the next time something crops up. So I hope this little bit of information helps you. Yeah, I just thought, sitting here, we all have our little struggles in relationships because we're all locked away at the moment. So it doesn't mean it's the end. It just means a little bit of work might need to happen at the time. So these memories don't belong to now. They're old memories. So good luck with that one, and stay safe, everyone. Over and out. Bye.